Hey there, entrepreneurs. My name is Sushant, and welcome to Trip Talks. This is the show where I interview successful e commerce entrepreneurs, business executives, and thought leaders, and ask them questions about their business story, and also dive deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they have used to start and grow their businesses. And today I'm really excited to welcome Michael Malkin to the show. Michael is the founder of Calm Strips. Calm Strips are textured sensory adhesives that allow the user to regulate restless energy and increase focus. And today I'm going to ask Michael a few questions about his entrepreneurial journey and some of the strategies and tactics that he has used to start and grow his business. So thank you so much for joining me today at Trip Talks, Michael.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's anyone who calls me a successful entrepreneur. I'll come. I'll be on their show anytime. So I appreciate you having me on.
Do you consider yourself a successful entrepreneur or on
I
the way on
consider
the
it.
way?
I consider it kind of an ongoing journey. I mean, I think it's. I think certainly it's beyond anything I would have imagined when I started this. I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit. Like I've always kind of wanted to kind of start my own business, and that's always been something that was in the back of my mind. And I've done a few things in the past that I've failed, I guess, from a financial standpoint. But I feel like I learned after each thing. And now we're to a point, we have 7 employees and, over 100,000 satisfied customers all over the world. So I would consider that a success. And I think, I just kind of look at it as I'm still on that thing where like every day I'm like, okay, what's tomorrow going to bring? And, kind of future. I mean, I'm kind of an anxious person, which kind of one of the reasons I created Calm Strips. But I think for me, I view myself on a good day. I view myself as a successful entrepreneur.
Cool, cool. So Calm Strips, very unique product. When I talk to entrepreneurs, I do frequently come across like unique products. But again, this is very unique. Can you share a little bit about what this product is and how it helps people?
Yeah. So before starting Calm Strips, and even during the first part of starting Calm Strips, I worked at an Apple retail store. I actually worked at an Apple retail store for about 13 years. I was a store manager. And I don't know, especially pre-pandemic, if you've ever been in an Apple retail store, especially on the weekend, it gets really, really busy in there and kind of shoulder to shoulder. And to me, as I said, like kind of, I live with anxiety, like especially when we get busy and there'd be a lot of people around, it would definitely kind of trigger that. And something I found is we used to keep like blue carpenter's tape in our repair room. And I used to find if I took that and kind of had that as like kind of a sensory outlet, I used to wrap it around my finger. I looked a little silly, but that's okay. I actually found that it was helpful. And I had used other things like fidget cubes and things like that in the past. And I was like, maybe this is something because, there's a lot of sensory tools out there and a lot of them are very helpful, but the issue is a lot of them are not very convenient. A lot of them are not, something that you can take with you kind of everywhere you go. So Calm Strips was kind of designed to be like a textured sensory adhesive. You could stick it on your phone, you could put them on your laptop. Can't show you my laptop because if I close the screen, I'm gonna hang up on you. But like this is my phone, so I've got a few neat ones on there. And it's just something you can kind of keep with you if you need to kind of scratch, pick, or touch at the surface. And I think for me, it kind of came out of a personal need. And then I was like, maybe this is something that could help other people as well. And that was kind of the journey of saying, okay, so how do we do manufacturing and shipping and all that kind of stuff? And it started honestly as like there's a home-based business. My wife and I, like just packing and shipping, a handful of orders each night out of our, living room. And then slowly as we grew, Lucy, who is she was employee number one, but is now my co-owner. She kind of came on board to help with a lot of the operational pieces, and she's kind of also the heart and soul, I like to think of Calm Strips. And so I think from there, we kind of structured it more like a traditional business, but definitely just started as a home-based thing. And we've been lucky to be able to grow it to where it is today.
So basically, the idea behind this is that people or many people have like anxious energy or, extra energy. I mean, I remember like even I may have had that like when I was in school, I definitely saw other students like playing with pencils and, fidgeting with other things. And of course, I know in the market, there's a lot of items like, fidget, what do you call it? Like fidget ball or
cubes and spinners and
yeah.
things like that. And
So
those have their, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Super, go ahead.
And so it seems like there's definitely it has some effect on calming the thing. And so basically what you have done is really found like what worked for you and basically brought that to market. Is that?
Yeah, correct. And I think we've luckily had the opportunity to work with some really great doctors and scientists in the time since we've kind of come to market. Dr. Jen Wolkin, who's a neurologist, neuropsychologist, and Virginia Spielman, who's works with sensory health. So we've had some opportunities to kind of learn more and more about this as we've gone. And I think the interesting thing is like the target market for this is not what I thought it was when I launched the product. Like I was like, it is for people like me who need a sensory outlet. And, I was like 38-year-old Apple store employees. That's my target market. That's who I'm looking to talk to. And honestly, that was not, I'm sitting here using it right now while we're talking. So, I think we found that education is a huge market for us. These have become really popular in schools because, like you said, I think, there's a lot of kids out there who need something like this, and the teachers want to provide something, but they also don't want something that's going to distract the rest of the class or distract even the student themselves. And so we found this, we're in over, we kind of say conservatively 3,000 schools, but it's probably closer to 5,000 or 6,000 schools. And then as well, we've been really popular in the BFRB community, which is body focused repetitive behavior. So like hair pulling or skin picking, things like that, where this can be a good kind of outlet again for that kind of finger energy or keeping that kind of anxious energy, nervous energy, restless energy off of the body and kind of put it, somewhere else. And plus, I mean, we work hard to make them to do like kind of really unique designs. We work with a lot of really cool artists. And so it's something where if you didn't know that these were Calm Strips, you just think I had some cool stickers on my phone, and that's okay. Like, I think some people want it to be discreet, but some people, when you see them, they'll go, "Ooh, what are those?" And so I think that it's kind of, there's some marketing kind of built into the product, but I definitely think that the market for it, that the target demographic is definitely different than what I had imagined when we kind of first came to market.
So, I mean, as a product itself, when I look at it, it's definitely simple. I guess, it's really just a strip of material. What material is it? How did you select that material? How did you initially start thinking about this as a, that it could be a business opportunity?
Yeah, I think, it started out as actually tested probably about 25 different manufacturers, which I tried pretty much any material that you could think of. I think one thing that was really important to me was that, we've had a couple of companies come out that have knocked us off. And if you look at the stuff they have, a lot of times the feel of it is more like kind of the rough side of like Velcro. And some of that, like to me, it was like, I wanted something that would provide tactile feedback, but that would not be so rough that like someone could hurt themselves or scratch themselves with it. So we tested a lot of different things, and we finally landed on, it's made of a high quality polypropylene vinyl. And then we use as well, kind of a durable, high quality super cling adhesive. So one of the nice things about Calm Strips, and this was important, like this is one of the things that when I was working it up was really important to me, is that if people are going to put this on their phone or their laptop, I know for me, I've never been, prior to this, honestly, I've never really been a sticker guy because I don't like residue and stuff being left on my products. Like I'm usually like keep my stuff very pristine, but because of the type of adhesive we use on these, it actually leaves no residue. So if you wanted like to peel this off, and put a different one on, or just take it off. It totally comes clean from there as well. We needed something like, again, like I'm kind of speaking to, I think the care that I like to think I took in kind of developing the product. If you look at a lot of other stuff that's out there, like the printing quality, like we're able to use, we do like kind of a 3-layer process where there's the adhesive, and then we are able to do like a full 4-color printing process. So we get really vibrant prints, and then we lay the texture on top of that. I think what you see in a lot of other type like vinyl things, like not even just comm strips, but other vinyl, is they'll do the whole thing and then print on top of it. And that just creates a really blurry kind of poor color quality. So it is a simple, trust me, it is really simple at the end of the day in terms of what it appears to be. And I think that, but in terms of it being easy, I think we land on something that was a little bit more complicated than maybe someone else who was doing it, but it was, some of those things were really important to me, especially the reusability, the printing quality was really important, and then the texture being right was really important. So being able to kind of tackle each of those elements independently and now be able to kind of combine them into one product was something that was really important to me.
What is the price point for this in the market?
Yeah, so it comes in a it comes in a pack of 5. So you get 5 comm strips in a pack, and then you also get a really nice custom printed envelope. And they priced at, we have 2 different textures. We have soft sand, which is kind of a like kind of a subtle kind of grainy texture. Those are $10.99 for a pack of 5. And then River Rocks is our newer texture, which is kind of bumpier and kind of more less uniform and kind of more of a differentiating texture. And those for a pack of 5 are $12.99. And then we do that through our website, which is calmstrips.com. And then shipping anywhere in the US is free. So that's included with any order. And then Canada, it's $4.99. And then anywhere else, 55 other countries are just $9.99. We can ship kind of almost anywhere in the world.
I guess one interesting question that I would want to ask you, you were saying that you worked at Apple for 13 years, and of course, Apple is I would say the best in marketing, the design, the presentation of the product, the simplicity, and so forth. And what lessons did you take from just working at Apple and knowing how they do their products and marketing and so forth? And how have you applied some of those things in your own business?
Yeah, I think it's like Apple honestly has had kind of an outsized impact on my life, because even before I worked for Apple, I remember when I was a teenager going over to my dad's house, because my dad had G4 Tech TV, which was the only place you could watch. Like now you could just go on and when they have a keynote, you can just watch it on like streaming on the internet. But at that time they didn't do that. So if you wanted to watch it live, you had to go watch it on G4 Tech TV. So I was like a huge fan. And then when I end up working for Apple, it was just like, oh my gosh, this is, was like my dream job when I first started there. And I think, the things that I learned, I think are kind of, they're a little bit counterintuitive. I mean, I think the quality is number one. Like, I think it's, you got to make sure like everything you're doing. Steve Jobs used to talk about like when his father was a carpenter and he used to build like a wooden, like a chest of drawers. And he said, kind of a lesser carpenter might just like hammer a board on the back of it. But he used to say, you got to finish it all the way through the back. And, something you would talk about too is like whenever they'd announce a new product, like here's a MacBook Pro and here's the back of it. And you're never going to see this because it's going to sit on your desk all the time. But like the back of our computer is nicer than the front of most other computers. And so just that level of that care and concern about quality is something that I really took away. And then the other thing is customer service. I think it's, when I worked at Apple, I interacted with customers directly almost all the time. Like I was a manager in a retail store, and just the level of Care. I know they have Apple Care. It's kind of an unintentional pun, but they really went out of their way to make sure that the customer had an amazing experience. And I remember my very first day when I started actually the week the original iPhone came out. I started July 5th of 2007. And they gave us like a paper handbook. This was like the Apple Store handbook. And it on the very first page, when you opened it up, it said, "Profit is our reward for delighting our customers. Apple philosophy." So it's not in this room, but in the other room over here, our annex, I have a poster up that says "Profit is our reward for delighting our customers." It says Calm Strips philosophy. So I stole that, but I think that's something that's really important as well, is that just a commitment to customer service. I think, we want all of our customers to be happy. And I think that's something where a lot of companies, especially when they're starting out, rather than building customer service out as an integral part, it's just kind of an afterthought. But we have, like I said, we have 7 employees. 4 of them are in our customer service department. And that's really because we want, if you email us, we want to get back to you. If you call our phone here in the office, like as long as it's during business hours, someone will answer it and go, "Thank you for calling Calm Strips," or "Hi, this is Calm Strips, this is Michael," or whatever. And so like those kind of things, I think, they go a long way. I think in the minds of customers, that if they have a question or they need assistance, that we're here to help out.
So do you consider your business, is it like a B2C or B2B? Because you were saying that a lot of your customers come through, education system, schools. So are you selling directly to schools, like more of a B2B sense, or do you find that most of your sales are coming through the website?
Yeah, I would say still the lion's share of our sales come through the website. Like I would say, most months is probably 75 to 80% are through our website. But our kind of B2B kind of bulk, and we also do custom. We started getting into custom comm strips as well. So if you have an organization or a school or a charity and you want to do comm strips with your company's design on them, we're able to do that. And I think recently we have about 15 or 16 of those that are like currently in production. So that it's a small but growing portion of our business where, a year ago, we're only 2 years old as a business. We just had our 2-year business anniversary on April 16th. So last year that number was 0, like our B2B, it was just everything was through the website. But I think we're committed to both because it's good business, but also because it's something we've definitely heard from our customers that they want, that we're kind of committed to growing and having more offerings there as well.
Okay, makes sense. When you started, did you invest a lot of your own personal money into building the product and getting it off the ground? Can you share a little bit about what kind of investment went into this? I know you went on Shark Tank also, so I'm going to ask about that next. But how do you get started?
Yeah, luckily I've kind of always been like a jack of all trades. Like I know how to do a lot of things to a reasonable amount of quality. So like building the actual kind of infrastructure of the business in terms of like working with the manufacturing and stuff like that. Like that was something I was doing kind of in my part-time as I was working at Apple full-time. And then just building out the website and like that was stuff like built it on kind of Shopify, which is a popular platform. So that was all kind of done in my part-time. And it was literally just kind of, we started running social media ads. Like once we had the product in hand and we had everything ready to go, our initial packaging was just in like regular kind of white paper envelopes, and just started running some Facebook ads, just like pictures of the product and descriptions of what it is. And like literally started just spending $5 a day on Facebook ads, and saw a decent return. And then we're like, well, what if we spend 10? And like I remember the first day that I spent like $100 on Facebook ads, it was like, oh my God, I can't believe, like I hope we have a successful day today. And so I think that was kind of the upslip of like in terms of the business. And then once we kind of outgrew our capability, I think once we kind of hit about 75 to 100 orders a day, it kind of outgrew our capability of like me and my wife. Like we have two kids as well. Like we have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. And it just became too much for us to be able to do kind of in our part time. So I was able to bring in Lucy, who is my business partner. She's absolutely amazing person, amazing businesswoman, entrepreneur. She's fantastic, and I think she came in and she literally like was in this office just packing orders and shipping them during the day, just kind of helping out. And then just slowly but surely, we kind of grew it from there. We started our first day selling to customers was April 16th of 2020. July 5th, 2020, it was my last day at Apple, and I was able to kind of dedicate myself to this full time. But it started just like literally, it was probably about $10,000 or $15,000 of my money to like bring the product to market. And that's just like product development, initial setup costs and all that kind of fun stuff. But we're very much like, I think people, like you mentioned, like we were on Shark Tank recently, like that kind of was just, I don't want to say it fell into our lap, but it was a lot of work, but it was not something that we kind of actively sought out. But we're very much a bootstrapped startup. I mean, we haven't raised $1 of outside funds. Like everything is, we use proceeds from our sales to kind of run the business. So, and that's something that I'm proud of, and I think it's something that we kind of keeps our focus on running lean and also being profitable, which are things I think too many businesses don't worry enough about are those things. And so I think that's something that I'm a piece of it that I'm proud of as well.
Basically, it seems like, you put your product out there and you started running some ads and it worked and it kind of grew from there.
Yeah.
I'm very curious, like, what kind of messaging did you send out initially, like on those ads? Did you think about that quite a bit? I mean, the ads have to connect with the customer, because with something like this that's not available in the market, there's like sometimes you have to show people what it is and what purpose it is used for and things like that. Yeah. I'm very curious, how did you create that messaging?
Yeah, I think that was another thing that I kind of took away from Apple, is kind of like that like you mentioned earlier, like marketing. And I think product design and marketing isn't just like what it looks like, it's what it does. And so I kind of came up with this tagline at the very beginning, which was kind of also the headline for a lot of our ads initially, and we still use it from time to time, which is like, take a little bit of calm with you everywhere. And I think that resonated, especially, the funny thing, like we launched in April of 2020, which was kind of right at the beginning of the pandemic. And I think that message really resonated with people. And I think obviously we had no idea that was something that was going to happen. And in fact, I remember talking to my wife about like, maybe we should like wait for, a better time to do this, because it seems kind of like the world's going crazy right now. And, she made the point, like, as terrible as it is, the world's always going to be crazy. Like there'll always be something going on that'll stop you. You got everything ready to go. Like you should go for it. But I think, the timing and the message, I felt like were both like kind of went hand in hand. And I think almost for the first few months, like I have a friend of mine who I worked with at Apple, who is also a professional photographer. Like that's his kind of main gig. And he did some really great product shots of, people holding the phone or using it on the laptop. And I think we kind of wanted it to feel kind of like hip and cool, and kind of talk to customers who could use a product like this in a way that maybe they're not used to being communicated with, I guess, or being marketed to. Kind of more of that kind of Apple kind of spirit of it, I guess. And so I think that's something that's really helped us or resonated with people is that I think we view our customers and treat our customers with like the utmost respect. And like when we're marketing and talking to them, my goal is that kind of comes through in every touch point, whether you're buying something from our website or you're dealing with or working with one of our customer service people, or you are seeing an ad from us on social media, that it all feels like it's like a cohesive part of like one whole company, I guess.
So you went to Shark Tank. Can you share a little bit about, how you got the opportunity, what kind of preparation went into it? And I know on the episode it shows that you closed the deal, but did you actually end up, taking the money and working with the partnership?
Yeah, so that's still kind of under wraps. So we're still kind of working through that. So I can't really talk about that part of it. But I can talk about kind of the process of the show. I remember coming into the office, I sat down on my computer to check my email, and we had an email come in just through our customer care email. I was like, hi, my name is whatever, and I'm a producer for Shark Tank. I saw an ad for your company. Would you guys have any interest? And like Lucy and I also do like a live every week where we like interview different like people in the community, or like people in the, like we mentioned, BFRB community, or like sensory awareness, like things like that. And we have fun doing that. So I think they might have seen that and been like, oh, they've got kind of a good wholesome vibe. So like, I remember thinking like, wasn't even sure we were going to do it. Like, it seems like no brainer now looking back on it. But at the beginning, I was like, I don't know if we're even ready for this. Like, we've been in business, like not even a year, like when we got the initial outreach, but I was like, you know what? Same thing we talked about earlier with like when to start the business. It's like, this might never come around again. They're not going to wait for us. Like, they're not going to be like, well, they don't want to do it right now. We'll come back next year. So we just kind of went through, and it was this whole process of like working on the pitch and working on all, like turning it, like tons of stuff to let them know about our business and all that kind of stuff. And I just remember like Lucy and I talking and like always thinking that like at some point they're going to like figure out that like we're just like Calm Strips in Newport News, Virginia, and they're going to be like, they're going to move on to somebody else and or not have us out. And like we just kind of kept going. Like we just kind of kept going and kept going. And then we went out to film it. Like that was back in July of last year. And it was a great experience, but it was definitely a tremendous amount of work to prepare for it. Like just making sure that, because I think we have a product that is, like you said, it's very simple on its surface. And so I think just making sure that we were ready for any kind of possible permutations of directions where things could go. And I thought, kind of looking back at the episode, it's funny because like we were probably out there for like almost an hour, like probably 50 or 55 minutes. And then I think our segment's like 8 or 9 minutes long. So there's a lot more like denser business stuff in there. But yeah, it's just incredibly proud of us for doing it. It's like a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, how many people can say, we were on Shark Tank and we got a deal? And like it's like one of those things that it's like kind of it was never a bucket list thing for me, because it was never something I like aspired to, but it was still a thrill. I mean, I'm not gonna lie and be like, oh, it wasn't that big a deal. I mean, it's a big deal. It was super exciting, and hopefully, it's something where in the future, if we're ultimately able to kind of move forward with the deals and everything like that, that it can help our business kind of continue to grow.
Okay. In terms of your fulfillment and shipping, because it's kind of a very light product, I'm assuming that it's very easy to ship. It's really just an envelope. You can put this item and ship it out. So you don't have to worry too much about negotiating rates or things like that. Can you share a little bit about, how you warehouse it, who packages it, how you ship it out?
Yeah, we do all of our own packing and shipping out of our office here. Sushan, can I take you on? You want to go on a field trip to our
Sure.
fulfillment?
Sure. I think you got disconnected, or
So we're kind of in this little office park, and we rent 3 rooms in this larger kind of complex. So here we go. This is where the magic happens. So this is our annex. So you can see we have a lot of Calm Strips kind of inventory here, in all the custom envelopes and exciting stuff and shipping mailers and things like that. And then we have 3 packing stations. So we have each kind of design, and then we'll just print a packing slip and then go from there. But yeah, that's it. So, and then we have a garage door here where we have postal service comes and does pickups. If it's UPS, they'll either pick it up or we'll go drop it off. But yeah, we still do it in house. I mean, there's been a lot of, especially since Shark Tank, we've had tons of like third-party fulfillment places reach out to us and be like, hey, you should move it, let us do it. I think number one, I like to be able to employ people in the local community. So I like to, kind of keep that in-house here. But also it's just, the cheapest I've been able to find, which I don't think would be at the same level of quality of what we're doing here, is still almost twice the cost of us doing it ourselves. So for right now, we're going to keep it in-house. But yeah, we do all of our packing and shipping right here from Newport News, Virginia. Our biggest challenge, honestly, has been international shipping. So like Canada especially was super expensive, and then overseas. But we're slowly but surely figuring that out. We've been able to find some services that are kind of catered towards business like ours. Because the thing is, like, a lot of international shipping we found is predicated on a lot of them, like especially third-party fulfillment. They go like a per shipment cost. So for us, we're sending out a large number of small products, they're not really built to support us in that way, because they're saying, well, it's $3 every time we ship something out on top of your regular shipping cost. It's a couple bucks every time. And so for us, we're kind of trying to sell in large quantities, that hasn't worked for us. So I think for now, we're going to keep it in-house. And I think, right now it feels like that's something that we can do for the foreseeable future. Like you said, we're lucky we have a small product, small in terms of footprint. It's non-perishable. So, I mean, we can store them either here, or we do have a storage unit as well. I won't take you there because it's like 4 miles down the road, but we have a storage unit as well. So we can kind of keep stuff in hand for when we need it. But yeah, we do all of that right here at our offices.
Yeah, so it almost makes it a perfect product, I think, for e-commerce. And it's no wonder why someone like Shark Tank is interested in this. Now we're going to move on to our rapid fire segment. And in this segment, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you have to answer them in 1 word or 2 word, or short sentence.
Got it.
The first one is one book recommendation for entrepreneurs or business professionals in 2022.
Oh man, I would recommend, there's a great book by Seth Godin called All Marketers Are Liars, which is an older one of his books, but I think it's his best one. Purple Cow as well. I'm sorry you said 1, but I just gave you 2. I'm a huge fan of his. Like him and Steve Jobs are probably my 2 big like kind of business like people that I really look up to. But I think his whole conception of doing something exceptional, that all of the regular stuff is already taken, like Tide with Bleach exists. You're not going to invent Tide with Bleach. Like the products that are for everyone already exist. So you got to go and find your tribe and the people who are your product's going to resonate with. And that's something I feel like is really going to become even more important, I think, because as we get more and more kind of segmented as a culture, being able to be really important to fewer people, I think becomes even more and more important. So All Marketers Are Liars, Purple Cow by Seth Godin.
An innovative product or idea in the current e-commerce, retail, or tech landscape that you feel excited about?
I'm a huge, like I've become, especially since starting this, I've become like Mr. E-commerce. Like I order so much stuff from e-commerce companies that I'm a huge, like I will say a company that I really look up to is Lume, Lume with a little swirl. They make deodorant, which is kind of sounds like it's a commodity product, but if you look at their marketing and kind of the way they've built their brand, it kind of makes it fun and engaging to buy deodorant, which is not something you would usually think. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for any company that takes something that seems like it's a commodity product and makes it interesting again. Like I'm literally like, I've got on these are called Kizik's, which are shoes you could just slip on. Like that's their big pitch. Like you just slip them on, slip them off. Yeah, hands-free shoes. I was like, I'm in. So I think in e-commerce, like anything like I said, like the stuff for everybody's already taken. So anyone who's doing something interesting on the edges where I look and go, this seems cool. Or someone can do something interesting with something that's not like that seems really boring, like deodorant. That's something that I have a tremendous amount of respect for.
So let's continue. So
yeah.
A business or productivity tool or software that you would recommend, or a productivity tip?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of productivity tip. Mel Robbins, the 5-second rule. I'm a big fan of hers and just that general methodology, which is kind of just like breaking through the resistance in the moment. I know for me, I'm someone who traditionally, like I always hit snooze on my alarm and I have a hard time but just like that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and move. That's something that has always been super helpful for me. Productivity tools, I mean, we use pretty much all except for like, we don't even do anything custom. Like everything we use is kind of off the shelf, but I'm a big fan of, we use a tool for our customer service email. It's called Groove. And it basically works on top of your existing like Gmail or email infrastructure, but it allows you to create tickets and, track kind of purchase history and collaborate better. So if one person starts something, they can see all the history. And before we were just managing it all within email. So that's one where it's not so kind of, it's not so over the top as like a CRM or something like that, but it's a way more powerful than an email. And for us, kind of where we are as a business, it's something that's really been like the sweet spot for us for customer communications.
Oh, that's very interesting. I'm going to check that one out.
Yeah, I think it's groovehq.com is the website.
Okay. A peer entrepreneur or business person whom you look up to, or someone who inspires you?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I think like, I mentioned her earlier, but like my wife, she's not an entrepreneur, like she's, we did a business together before Calm Strips a few years ago called Mandel Every Month, which she baked this really tasty, it's kind of like a biscotti mandel bread, and we would ship it out like kind of like it was like a subscription box for mandel bread. And that's where I learned a lot of the fulfillment stuff that we've improved here at Calm Strips. But I think her kind of spirit and energy, and then just Lucy, who's my business partner, like she's someone who is tremendous with people and kind of always inspires me to stay kind of within my own sphere. Outside of Calm Strips world, I mentioned earlier kind of my history with Apple. And so 13 years as an employee, probably 10 years as a fan before that. But Yeah, I kind of always, when I worked at Apple and we talk about business, like talking to business customers and things like that, I used to always say, like, don't forget that this company you work for now, which is the biggest company in the entire world, was started by a couple guys in a garage. Right. And so I think, anyone who has the spirit to go out there and say, I've got an idea, like, let's go out and do it. I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And so I think just more so than any individual person, just kind of that spirit that exists to say, I've got an idea, let's go do it. I think it's something that's kind of quintessentially, I don't want to say it's quintessentially American, but it's quintessentially part of our DNA as a culture. And so it's something that I just have a tremendous amount of respect for.
Best business advice you have ever received or you would give to other entrepreneurs?
I think that the biggest one that I would give to entrepreneurs is number one, like, just go for it. There's always going to be stuff that isn't going to work out, or stuff that's in your way, or stuff that it seems like the wind is at your forward. And then start small. Like, I see so many of these businesses sometimes, even on like Shark Tank, we mentioned it, where they're on and they're like, here, we got square bread. And they're like, cool, tell us about your sales and stuff. And they're like, we have $52,000 in sales and we're $2 million in debt. And I'm like, how did this happen? So like, just start, like, do it within your means. Like, don't think you got to go out there and be like, do a round of financing and get $1 million to start a business. You can start it in your house. You can start it wherever. I think there's, that would be my biggest thing. Like, just start small, and then let your cash flow dictate where you go. I think there's so many companies I see that their biggest, like, questions I get asked all the time is like, how do I raise capital? How do I raise funds? And I'm like, you haven't done any sales yet. Like, start there and like build something, and then the capital, you'll be able to get it once you have the cash flow. So that'd be my big thing. Just start small. And number 3, real quick, customer service. Build it in at the beginning and hire absolutely amazing customer service people. I work with, so many amazing people, a lot of whom worked with me at Apple, not all of them, but who followed me on this crazy Calm Strips adventure. But like, Lucy worked with me at Apple, Mike and Mel, Susie, who didn't work with me at Apple, but is tremendous as well. So Liz, who just everyone, or Josh, who does fulfillment. But we have a really great team. And I think surround yourself with really great people and put the customer at the center of everything that you're doing from the start. Don't let it be like an afterthought.
That's awesome. I mean, you were able to bring a lot of colleagues from Apple. That's awesome. Last question. I know in every entrepreneur's journey, there's always challenges, failures, lessons learned. Can you share maybe your biggest failure? What was the lesson for you? What can other entrepreneurs learn from it?
I think, my biggest failure, I think, in terms of like Calm Strips itself, I think was, like I mentioned earlier, about starting small, which I think was really good. But I think what happened kind of initially was that as we were kind of upticking, like as we were starting to ramp up, I didn't like fully believe that this is what was happening. And so there was a period for probably 2 or 3 months where we had little or no inventory of most things. And we were just selling, a promise, but like, hey, we'll ship it to you as soon as we get it. And we were upfront with people about it. But I think kind of that was a moment where that was a really tough time, where it was like we weren't getting inventory in fast enough. Even when we were getting it, we couldn't pack it to ship it fast enough. So I would say, like, if you're seeing growth, don't like all of a sudden go crazy and mortgage everything to make it happen, but kind of believe in it. That's something that I still struggle with kind of day in and day out, which is like, we'll have a day like any business. We have days where we have really good sales day, and then we have days where it's a little bit slower, and we'll still have days where we have a slow day, and I'll go, well, that's it. I mean, it's been a good run, guys. Let's close it, because like, it's like, just have that kind of faith, but I think the biggest mistakes I've made or failures have been where I haven't believed either in myself and the team and the product, and I've kind of been too pessimistic, I think. So I think for me, that's something that I kind of work on combating on a regular basis, which is trying to stay more positive and make business decisions in a way that will be accurate, but also, you know, views the future as a positive thing for the team and for the business.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. Those were all the questions that I had. Anyone who wants to buy Calm Strips, where can they go and then buy it?
Yep. Calmstrips.com is the exclusive online home of all of our Calm Strips. So go check it out. We have all the 5-packs we talked about. We have classroom packs, school packs, really cool aluminum carry tags if you want to carry your Calm Strips around with you. So go check it out, calmstrips.com. You can learn more about them, and then also you can purchase them there as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael, for sharing your story, your startup story, how you grew your business, all the strategies and tactics, and also some of the failures that you went through in building this business. Very, very inspirational. So thank you again for joining me today at Trip Talks and sharing your story.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you. Bye-bye.